a health and nutrition centered or based business. And this is an important concept for me. I'll get into why. Most of you know who I am, but just in case you don't, I'm Jacqueline Hughes. I'm a 5-star coach, 2-time elite coach. I am one of Meredith's coaches. We got involved in this whole thing together right at the very beginning, just over 2 years ago. I am a Success Club 5 All-Star Legend, founder of Viva Vita. I'm a trauma surgical ICU nurse. I'm not actively working, but I hold those licenses in California and Arizona. I'm a mama to a 4-year-old little girl, a Navy spouse. We live in Honolulu, Hawaii. And this last one I shared because it's such an important piece of why this whole concept of leading a health and nutrition-based business is so important to me. I'm recovered 10 years from an eating disorder, which I'll get into a little bit more, but it's a good premise to get into this call knowing that about me because it's part of why I'm so passionate about leading with that element of the business. So today, what I'm going to talk about is the foundation of building a health and nutrition focused business, disease in our bodies and in our lives, and how we can be the change as coaches, what we can do and how we can lead our business so that we're really affecting change long term, and how this is more than just fitness, how this business, how we as coaches can be more than just about the physical, about the business. We can be about health and how to utilize free groups, adding value. And of course, I'll be touching on Shakeology as our #1 tool and how to most effectively use that in your business and as part of your journey. So the foundation. To lay a foundation for this to be a business that's more than just fitness and more about health and nutrition, you have to first be the change. You have to embody that yourself. You have to start walking the walk and sharing that on a daily basis in your messaging, thereby changing the conversation. A consistent message and leading by example is going to be your #1 tool. And I'll give you identifiable ways and some action items at the end of the call where you can start implementing this daily and into your business structure and infusing this as a culture into our team. You guys are an extension of what Meredith and I started as the Good Vibe Tribe, and you continuing to share the message of health and wellness so that this is about so much more than the common misconception of what Beachbody stands for. In people's minds, there's a stigma attached to Beachbody, right? It's beach bodies, bikinis, but for us to lead and start to branch out on our own and show them that Beachbody is about health and wellness and nutrition is going to take us being consistent, sharing our example, and starting that conversation so that we are that change that we want to see happen. So disease is just that. It's a dis-ease in your body. It's an imbalance. And many of us, if not most of society, lives imbalanced. We've grown up literally being fed crap, literally and figuratively, because that's the dawn of the age of processed foods and infusions of sugar and fillers and soy and corn into all the foods that we eat. So I love this graphic, sick care versus health care, because what we're doing is we're teaching people a new way of thinking. And it's not that they don't want to do it. Many just don't know how. They have all these societal standards and blocks in their minds around what healthcare means, what it means to be healthy, how to even start, how to go around it. And as coaches, that's one of our jobs, is to start to break down the fear around those misconceptions and to help people not wait. So one of the societal standards is to wait until the discomfort of where they're at and the inconvenience of their current situation outweighs the discomfort it's going to cause them to change their ways, to break their bad habits, and to make a difference. And then another societal standard is to believe that actual fast food and processed junk isn't responsible for the reason that they have high cholesterol, diabetes, childhood obesity, heart disease. And then another one is that there's this whole conception that foods labeled as fat-free, low-fat, low-carb are actually healthy when they're not. And that's just something that if we are consistent as a team, as a culture, as individuals in showing by our example what it is to look like, what it does to our bodies, what it does to our overall health, to implement this as a way of life, it'll make a widespread difference. It's said that our gut is our second brain, and it maintains 70% of our immune system. So if we can help people to recalibrate their gut, eat more healthfully, and lead from a space of nutrition and wellness, then we can help them overhaul their whole pattern of being and their whole health. This is such an important piece of my journey, and so that's why I shared this story, and I'll give you a little backstory on this too. So I knew Meredith from teaching yoga with her, but we had lost contact, and I'd followed up via her blog, and I came into finding out about coaching and finding out about this team and this business, not because I wanted to lose weight. I had already lost my baby weight from McKenna. I was not in the market for a weight loss drink or supplement. I was looking for energy. And I think that's such an important piece of my story, because I was looking to feel better after nursing my daughter for 15 months. And if Meredith would have passed this off on her blog as just something to lose weight, I probably would have tuned it out. And for me, it was that she was sharing the superfood supplement benefit of it and what it was doing to give her energy and helping her maintain where she was at and getting better results with where she was going. And so for that reason, I cued in. And I also cued in because for a long time, my mom, who you see pictured here, had been a long time Slim Fast drinker. I'm going to give you a little backstory on her just to understand, because this all plays into how you can share it for people that might not need or be so interested or inclined for the fitness, but really could use this as a nutritional supplement or a wellness tool in their lifestyle. So my mom was at the point, 55 years old. She had a family history of high cholesterol and heart disease. My grandpa actually had his first heart attack at her age, at 55. And so we knew that this was an issue. Cholesterol being 250 plus at that time, she couldn't take cholesterol meds because she had a bad reaction to all cholesterol meds. The statins, they're called. They caused her to have fibromyalgia type symptoms, depression, overall aches and pains, which caused her to be inactive. She couldn't work out or barely move. And she gained 20 to 25 pounds that she needed to lose. And she had been on this nasty Slim Fast stuff with my stepfather, her being a nurse, him being a doctor. That's what they drank, shift work before, and it just grossed me out. So when I started to see results, I said, hey mom, I know you hate vegetables. I know you do your Slim Fast thing. Let's try swapping it out and giving this a go. It's really helping me. It's helping Mike. Let's see what happens. So she did just that, and she tried it out. And we did 2 months of Shakeology, and then we launched into the Ultimate Reset, the 3-week cleanse together. We drew her labs beforehand, and it was 250. And then we drew her labs afterwards. That's the nurses in us. We need like the clinical proof, right? So we did this whole group together, and her cholesterol went down 55 points to 195. Now, I have to put the disclaimer, as you see along the bottom, these aren't evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, although clinically we have done our own clinical trials through Beachbody, and they have shown the same kind of results. But again, it worked for her. And it's not to say that she doesn't have to continually maintenance that, but she's kept it off. She's kept off cholesterol meds. She's been able to maintain herself with Shakeology. She now doesn't have the aches and pains, so she's able to work out. She's able to move. She's able to make healthier choices. And she's lost the weight that she had gained from being inactive because she drinks Shakeology every day and she does seasonal refreshes and resets. What another piece of the story is that my stepfather, who's an old school pediatrician, I swear he owns stock in pharmaceuticals, because at the very beginning of this, we would butt heads. He was always, there's a pill for that. There's a treatment for that. And I was more of the mindset, even though I'm a nurse as well, that there's alternative means, that there's a way to not get to that point. I saw so many young people come in through the ICU that had cancer, disease, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and it would have been preventable had they taken an investment in their health up front and just learned or tried or been inspired to try a different way of life from the beginning. So he finally, a year and a half into my doing Beachbody, having been morbidly obese his whole adult life pretty much, he had a helicopter accident and a fusion in his spine, so he couldn't work out. He was visiting here in Hawaii, and I finally, a year and a half after being a coach, heard him downstairs making a shake. And it was one of those things, like, it's got to be the man's idea. I'm not even gonna bring it up that he's trying one. But a week later, he had my mom place an order for him and started drinking Shakeology daily. Within 5 months, he lost 50 pounds. And this is a man that is very sedentary, works shift work, has a massive food addiction, and he is now one of my biggest believers in this. He talks to his patients' families, he talks to their kids. And again, I share his story because he can't work out. Physically, he's not at a point where he's able to, but he's seen such great health benefits from just implementing that one element of this whole structure that we have at our disposal, and it's helped him tremendously. So guys, this is about so much more than fitness. And if you're only going after, people to lose weight, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to reach people that really need this from a health and wellness perspective. So I want to go into a little bit about how to add value to those people and why it's so important that we have that mindset as a team, as a culture, as individuals. So there's free clean eating groups. So Meredith and I both have guides available to the whole team where you can run your own clean eating challenge, whether you want to do it for a day or run a whole month, whatever you want to do, you can offer up these free groups. And I'm sure to continue to share about Shakeology and share about the other tools that are available while still providing them a lot of content that just help them feel more comfortable with the concept. People don't know. It's not second nature to them like it might be for some of you. And you have to think back to even where you started your journey. How much understanding did you really have of what clean eating and health and nutrition was all about at the very beginning? We have to baby step them into this process, because to change their kids' diets, to change their husbands' diets, to go grocery shopping and shop for new items, that's all very intimidating. And all it takes for you as a coach is breaking that process down for them into bite-sized chunks so that they feel more at ease with it, and offering these things up for free, because what you're doing then is adding value to them, establishing a connection, and helping to build trust so that they see this person really does care. They know something that I don't know yet, and they're willing to teach me. So that when you get to the point and they are ready to invest in themselves and make that next step, you're able to share Shakeology, and you're not going to get those price objections. You're not going to get the objections to a challenge pack, because they know that you're bringing them something from a place of, in the space of trying to help and provide them the best tools that you have at your disposal. So you can do this through blogs, posting on Facebook recipes, showing, taking pictures of your food and step-by-step breaking it down, doing a video of your food haul from the grocery store, saying how you select your meal plans for the week. Doing videos on YouTube is huge. Also doing, even if you're fine live, shooting cute little live videos. Facebook offers a live function where you can shoot videos, just, this is my food prep, this is what I'm doing, or doing it on Periscope. These are all ways to connect and let people in as a sneak peek to your life, so that it starts to make sense to them, so that they can wrap their minds around it. So I can't go through this call without helping you utilize one of our major tools in Shakeology. Now, we are really spoiled with Beachbody, and if you haven't dove into the training site and resources and tools that we have available to us, I highly encourage that you do so, because Shakeology is our #1 tool, guys. I hear often, all the time, people that even have a basic understanding that come into this about clean eating, or they like to do paleo or whatever. I don't need that. I like to get my nutrition from my food. Well, that's great. But the most majority of people, even myself included, coming to Meredith when I did, I was eating clean. I was fixing homemade clean meals, and I still wasn't getting the nutrients I needed to be at my most healthy. And so what Shakeology does is it helps to provide that massive nutrient density in one meal a day that people that aren't accustomed to clean eating don't have to think about. They don't have to prepare it. It's not something that's going to overwhelm them. It's something that's going to make it easier on them. And adding value to that in the process, in the forming process, is going to be a huge help to you when you get to the point of not having objections. So what are some of the things that make Shakeology so special? Well, first and foremost, as I already mentioned, don't market this as a weight loss supplement. It's not just a weight loss supplement. It's not just a protein shake. It's a wellness supplement. It helps you in all areas of your health. It has probiotics, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. As I mentioned earlier in the call, since our gut does help us maintain 70% of our immunity, it's so important to have healthy flora in our gut, and probiotics help us to do that. Something that often doesn't get mentioned as much, but that is hugely impacts our overall wellness, is digestive enzymes. So we hear all the time that people have digestive issues or lactose intolerance or issues breaking down their foods. A lot of that is due to a lack of the digestive enzymes. They're very important because they help break down the fats, the cellular walls, carbs, and everything. And when they don't break down and assimilate the food completely, they're not receiving the full nutritional value. So if they have a lack of digestive enzymes and they are eating clean, but like it was in my case, they're not receiving all that density. And when we're especially working with people that are trying to cut calories to lose weight, they definitely need this, because they want to be absorbing the most nutrients from their food so that they're not cutting their nutrients when they cut their calories. So Shakeology also has plant-based proteins, and the vegan is derived from foods. It's food-derived nutrients. So what that means is plant-based proteins, we don't use soy. We are one of the only superfood supplements that don't have soy fillers. Soy is one of the most highly genetically modified, mass-produced crops that there is, and it leads to higher estrogen levels in males and females, which can lead to a whole host of issues. So to boast about the fact that we don't have soy in our vegan formula is amazing. But on top of that, we have food-derived nutrients. So if you ever compare a bag of whey formulation to vegan, you'll notice that the whey formulation can calculate out all the amounts exactly of the vitamins, and that's because in whey, the vitamins are derived from isolates. And the plant-based proteins, they're food-derived, which means, and you can compare it to if you were to go to a farmer's market and get a bag of oranges one day, measure out the vitamin C and the nutrient quality of those oranges, but then go back to the farmer's market the next day and grab a similar bag, those quantities would vary. And that's because they're not exactly the same because they're food-derived. And so for that reason, on the vegan formulation being food-derived nutrients, they can't be quantifiable in that way. So I sometimes get questions about that, and that's a helpful tip for you to remember. As far as the plant-based proteins, that's the one I'm a fan of. Even though the whey formulation is 99% lactose-free, if they do have any issues, you would want them to definitely go with vegan. And speaking to these things and just getting more and more comfortable about these types of facts and the knowledge base on Shakeology is going to be huge for how your confidence and how you share this. The proprietary blend of superfoods, it's not just all the superfoods that you'll find. There's going to be a lot of people, and there's even more springing up as of late that are trying to copy the formulation of Shakeology. And what you have to draw into question then is the quality of what it is they're providing. And if they're providing only the highlight reel of the superfoods and not the complexity that Shakeology does. Shakeology has over 72 different kinds of superfoods, and they're not always the ones that you would find in your normal run-of-the-mill shakes. They're ones that are far more dense and Ayurvedically speaking, and I believe most of you have a concept of what Ayurveda is, but just for those of you that do not, Ayurveda is the sister science of yoga. It's the oldest form of medicine that's still practiced today, and it uses Eastern medicine to treat and prevent lots of different diseases, and a lot of these come from superfoods. They're derived from superfoods that are found in Shakeology. So to go into some of these more complex ones that help with the benefits that have been clinically tried through the Shako clinical trials, I'm going to go into this next slide. These are just a few. These are a few that Meredith had highlighted in a presentation that we had done a while back. But to go over them, I highly encourage that you do stuff like this just to reinforce your own knowledge. You can do a supplement highlight in your challenge group, reminding people what it is in Shakeology that sets it apart, what it's doing for them, and how it's helping them to improve their overall health. But these are just a few, and they're important, and so therefore I wanted to reiterate them to you and let you know that they're in there and what they do. So maca is an adaptogenic herb which brings the body into balance for the hormones, energy, and all of it works together to help you have an overall balance of more energy. So that is one of the ones that I'm really thankful for because, as I mentioned, that's what I was looking for when I joined Meredith in the first challenge that I did was maca. Ashwagandha was the one that has helped my mom the most, probably. Ayurvedically speaking, it's an immune booster, an energy enhancer, blood sugar stabilizer, lowers cholesterol, and has anti-inflammatory effects. And that's one of the ones that, you know, again, would help somebody that was in my mom's shoes that doesn't eat a lot of green vegetables, doesn't have a lot of energy to work out. That's one of those superfoods that helps with all of that. So moringa is considered an Ayurvedic powerhouse. It's a small leaf, and it's not seen in many other supplements. It's said to have more potassium than bananas, more vitamin A than carrots. The list goes on for that one, but it's used to treat and prevent over 300 different types of diseases in Ayurveda. And Schisandra is one of the wonder herbs. It helps support detoxification and enhances phase 1 and phase 2 of liver detox. Now, phase 1 of liver detox is important because it helps to oxidate it makes the toxins water soluble, tongue-tied. And this can actually make the toxins more toxic. So phase 2 has to accompany phase 1, where you then attach the solvent to sulfur and other organic amino acids and remove it from your system, eliminating it through the kidneys and liver in a more healthful way. So Schisandra helps you with both of those, make phase 1 and phase 2 more healthful in the detoxification process. Chlorella and spirulina are natural detoxifiers. Both of them are alkalizing agents. Our body is in its most healthful state when it's more alkaline versus acidotic. So both of those are used as a cleansing effect. Both naturally help oxygenate blood and cells. And then Tulsi is considered the happy herb. It's not something that you see in anything other than sometimes teas, but not other shakes. And so it helps to reduce stress, boost stamina, and increase your energy. So these are just a few, but these are things that you could share and do a highlight in your challenge group, because one of the things that people do with getting a challenge pack and starting Shakeology is sometimes at that 3-month mark, they forget why they've gotten their results and they stop drinking it. They've stockpiled, they haven't been doing it daily. So we need to remind them why this is helping them on a daily basis and highlight some of the ingredients so it demystifies it for them and they understand what is in it that sets it apart and makes it so special. So some of the action items that you can start to do as of now, as of this minute, as soon as you get off the call, start to share more than just Shako as more than just a meal replacement and a weight loss supplement. Share it as a wellness supplement. Share it for its health benefits. Provide tools and support that have a nutrition and health emphasis. If you're giving those guides, like I said, the groups, guides, blogs, posts, whatever you can do to help people make sense of this in their mind so that they know that this is a way of life that's attainable for them and not something that's overwhelming, you're just making it that much easier for them to adapt to this way of life in the long run. Run, refresh, and reset groups instead of just challenge groups or fitness-based groups so that people like my mom or people like my stepfather just acknowledge your audience and who it is that you're out there to serve and help. And if there's a need for them to get their foot in the door just by doing a cleanse, just by starting to feel good in their bodies and understanding proper nutrition. You can do the weekly wellness highlight or ingredient highlight in your challenge group and remind people why they started on this so that they don't stop drinking it and they don't reach their goals and quit. And then share publicly about your food and health transformations as much as you do physical ones. So we hear about Transformation Tuesdays and we see people post their physical transformations, but also share your health ones. If you have people that are dropping their cholesterol, if you have people that feel better, are sleeping better, if you've got a food transformation, like their pantry and their grocery cart was full of processed junk and now they're swapping things out and making home-based meals, that's a transformation too. And sharing how you're helping them to make that a possibility is going to help people understand that this is for them. They can visualize that for themselves. And then post publicly about your objections and why focusing on health and nutrition is equally, if not more important than fitness alone. We want to make a huge impact, not just in physicality, but in overall health. And by you sharing publicly, Bonnie Engel did an amazing call about sharing publicly and using her profile page as a sneak peek into coaching. Use your page as a sneak peek into health, demystifying health, showing how you can post about Shakeology, all the benefits that it does, what it's doing for you behind the scenes, but using that public profile, because then when it comes time for you to extend an invite or for people to understand why this is a tool that you want them to use, they can look back and see that you are a product of the product, that you are using these things yourself, and that it's going to help them if they stay consistent as well. So that is the whole overview of what I wanted to share with you guys. But I definitely want to open up, and we have plenty of time for questions. So I know I went over a lot. I'll be happy to make the slides available to you guys. But if you have any questions, feel free to unmute your line